And for a lot of it, it's dinner to Malchus or dinner anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I mean, I would say yes and no. The cases do, in a way, vary greatly. But if you remember the klalim are the klalim. There's throughout most of this, besides for the one case, right? The one case that's a yitzim in klal is schir yaim because lo yavodim lavodim, and
Exactly.
that's going to be as long as it's not a davar ovid. Other than that, really, the everything follows. First of all, there's the overarching principle, right? The overarching principle is if there's a if there was a haskama befeirush, it goes by that. If there's not, it goes by minhag medina, and then if it's not, it goes to these halachas. But you see, there's a bichlala. It's a very balanced sort of thing. There's a it's and it all comes down to what was the understanding between the two people. What can we assume the understanding was? So it does though. It goes through a lot of different kinds of cases. Um. Okay, let's see where are we holding over here. Over here, share. Okay, here's the book, and let me go back to 34.
What I have you on the line? I have somebody who needs Rabbi Kazimov's number to ask him a shaila. Does he have a hotline where he could ask, leave a
Uh, the,
question?
the the regular, I think it's just a regular number. You're
Wait,
muted.
let me just see me look it up.
Yeah, drop him a text maybe and ask him.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I guess you could just message him and ask him. Somebody has a shayla wants to ask. What number should he ask?
I mean, he doesn't know him or anything like that. That's what. Let me see.
I think it's to say he takes on the same number, but yeah, can ask him.
By Kazimov. Let me see.
I think he does because he was doing me a test in another class and he had an urgent shila to attend to.
Uh, Let me see. His name is Tuvia, right?
Yeah.
Rabbi Tuvia.
Remember, I'm gonna drop off around about 7:30 for
Yeah.
my.
Okay.
I'll probably walk there soon.
Daddy, how do you write?
2,500 years of Jewish.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Din im Sofim, page 43. Din im Sofim. Some other halachas about employer relations. Rab shetevias schar al tkufa ba'avar shalimit bechinam. So B'Shalis Yeshuvas Maram Padua. So he asks about the Reuven who was teaching Torah for several years in a certain place for free. He's giving free shiurim. After some years, he wanted to leave. Now the Kehillah wanted that he should stay because they enjoyed him so much. So they decided, they got together and they decided that they're gonna they're gonna start paying him so that he should want to stay.
He did it for free?
If up until now, yeah, he's been doing it for free.
Wow.
He's giving free shiurim, right? Now they decide they're going to pay. He's thinking of leaving, and they get together and say, you know what, we're really enjoying really enjoying him here, and let's get together and we'll put some money together and we'll start paying him for. But he didn't speak about either way about as far as the past. After some time, so he comes and he puts a claim, so pay pay me for the past also.
Wow.
What's his taina? That since they're paying him now, it shows that had he asked for it, he would have got it before. So Maram Padua answered that no, that you had to claim it before.
Sovereign Kibble, no? Sovereign Kibble.
Right, not just pay before. He said you should have put the taina at the time that they were discussing with you about the future.
Yeah.
Right, that at that point, not just that. Here, he already accepted to go to work on the future for pay. So he could have, at the time he was negotiating with them initially, that would have been the time to discuss with them, and maybe they would come to something. You know what? It's true. The reason we're paying you now is because we feel you're valuable. We needed to teach. So you know what? We'll give you something for the past.
Wow. Nice.
If that will encourage you to stay, since we're trying to get you to stay.
But
he didn't. So we have an umdina that he's that based on this he was Michael.
He was Michael, yeah?
Yeah. Why? Because in not only that, especially considering that in the beginning he taught for free. So it shows that he himself was willing to teach for free.
Of course.
And now that he got used to getting paid for it, now he's coming giving a taina.
So he was settled or not settled, the matter? I mean,
that was his so postak Maram Padua she'ein lichvei sakol l'sham rivna over. He said, no, you can't force him. The call can't be forced to pay him on the past. And he added also the svara that he added the thing that bichlal to take money to teach Torah is anyway just a heter, because after all the guy's got to live. So it's but you're not supposed to really make money off it, Mikradin. So certainly we're not gonna. So even if maybe by a different kind of worker we would talk about this, but for sure by someone who's asik is Torah. And he's getting paid now already just on a heter, so we're not gonna demand from the retroactive pay. So the Rama writes on this. Rav Shohaya be'ir kama shonim v'hidal l'kol. Be'achar kach kotzvu imay schar la'ba. Loi yuchal etvayim masha avar devadei machalahem. Fine, that's the Rama. Aruch HaShulchan, he says that this psak din is specifically for a marbitz Torah. Why? Because him, Ikar Din, he should have taught for free. But why do they pay him? Because they have to give him schar b'teilim. He's for because he would otherwise been doing something else to make a parnasa. So you have to pay him to cover his time. And that's why by him it's considered mechila. However, it says Aruch HaShulchan, by other types of work, it's not considered mechila. However, the Pischei Choshen writes that from the other poskim, it's mashma that at first glance this halacha applies to everybody and not just to Torah scholars. And based on this, the Pischei Choshen writes that when if Shimon helps Reuven in his business, and he didn't, and for free, he's just helping him out. Then he comes and claims from now and he wants to, meaning he comes and demands, okay, if I'm going to keep working with you, then it's already taking a lot of my time. I thought it was just going to be a little temporary thing, so then you start paying me. And he doesn't bring up any negotiations about the past hours he put in. This is just like the case in Maram Padua. This is a case. Also, it's a proof that he was meichel on the past, and he cannot be tevea him after this time, after their initial discussion about it. The Pischei Choshen also brings that a worker who works overtime hours and he doesn't ask anything from the employer, and after time, like for example, when he lets him go, he's fired, and then he comes back and he wants to make a claim for what he worked before, because I worked so much overtime, you have to pay me the overtime. So l'chura, there's an umdana here that shows that he was meichel on the past. Only what? Oh, now that you right, meaning I was happy in this job, and I wanted to be on the good side of the boss or whatever. So I'd work overtime hours without overtime pay. Now that you fired me, now I'm going to come and try to tie and everything. But b'shas ma'isa, I was really meichel it. Now I have a beef against you, so now I'm going to come bring it up because I want it. However, mitzad sheni, it could seem also that maybe before that if before he didn't have his damnus to ask him about it, to discuss it, he didn't have time, was busy. That's why he was working so much overtime. Everybody was busy. He didn't have a chance. So then, or additionally, possibly it was that he was embarrassed, or because he doesn't want to ruin his relationship with the employer, but not really that he forgave it. Maybe he thought the guy would by himself pay him the overtime hours, whatever it is. So if there's a reason that we have, so that's on the other hand. On the one hand, we could say he was meichel. On the other hand, we could say no, it wasn't meichel. Just for a different reason, he didn't ask him. The maskon of the Pischei Choshen is that if he didn't have a chance to be teveya about it before, fine. But if he really did have a chance to be teveya and he wasn't teveya, for example, how do we know this? Like, for example, let's say he came in to discuss something else, reimbursement for something or whatever. You see, you did have time to do it. Or if, for example, he himself admits that he originally wasn't looking to get paid for it, or he knows that he himself knows he was already meichel for it, then we don't accept his claim. Meaning, even though now you're angry at him, so you bring it up, but you already were, either you already had the intention to do it for free, or you were meichel on it, or so we don't accept his claim. However, if Taka he didn't have the chance to discuss it with him, that's why he was working overtime. He was super busy over there. Then Taka, the owner has to pay him for the overtime, for the extra hours that he worked, even if a long time passed by, so long as Taka did not have the damnos to discuss it with him during this time. You know, like for example, let's say it's a mine or something like this. You know, so he's working over here. The boss is in an office building. 6 miles away. He doesn't see him all the time. Okay, now how about a repairman who did not fix the problem? Right? He hires somebody to bring apples to a sick person. And the guy either he got better or he managed didn't get better.
Without the
then,
apples, without the apples, or with the apples?
He didn't bring the. By the time he came back with the apples, the guy died or he got better and he ran away from the hospital. So lo yemar tail mash hevesa b'scharcha. We can't. The employer, the guy who the mishaleach, can't tell the shliach that hey, we don't need them anymore. The guy's already better, or he died already. So just take the apples, and the apples will be your payment. Rather, he has to pay him whatever he agreed with him on. Why? Because the shliach did it. He did the shlichus.
You know
The
what this
fact that-
reminds me? You know what this
Yeah.
reminds me of? You take your shirt to the dry cleaners, or your suit for the dry cleaners, and there's a stain over there. They can't get up.
Yeah. So that's going to be that case is based on this case.
On this case, because he did his job. The thing
That
didn't
case
come.
is based on this case, right? The fact that you're the fact that you spilled super juice on yourself.
Yeah, but this is even more, because the case of the cleaners, not only was he matriach himself, but he actually did the job.
No, so here also he did the job.
No, but he came late.
No, he didn't come late. You told him go bring apples. He didn't schlep. He came late because the guy all of a sudden died 5 minutes after you sent him.
What I'm saying is
he came back 10 minutes later.
The extent of his involvement was the tircha.
No, but meaning it wasn't. He had no. There's no. There's no fault on him here. Meaning he didn't schlep it longer or anything. He did exactly what you told him. You told him go to the corner store and buy apples. He went to the corner store, came back with apples 5 minutes later. The guy died already.
Right.
Or he all of a sudden he felt better already without the apples, and he got up and he ran in and he walked away. He doesn't need the apples anymore. He feels better. Doesn't make a difference. That's what you sent him for. You sent him to get apples.
Yeah, he did his job. Now the thing of the cleaner,
it's the same like the dry cleaner.
The thing that the cleaner he did more than just take the, you know what I'm saying, take the thing. He was actually misasik. It's even more.
Fine, here also. Let's say this could also be he was misasik.
He didn't give him the apples to eat. You know, he wasn't really.
What?
No, but
same thing. You didn't remove the stain. His job wasn't to give him the apples to eat. His job was to go to the supermarket and bring apples to here. That was his job.
He got on a plane and went to Chazoro and brought the apples.
Right.
Right. And then he charged the ticket to the business card. No, this we're talking about. The guy did. You didn't tell him what's it called. You told him go get apples and bring apples here for this guy. He did his job. He did 100% his job. He was misasik. Maybe it's like Pittsburgh. There's a lot of hills. He had to walk all the way up the hill and go down the hill, then go the other hill, then the way back up the hill from Giant Eagle, and with the apples. And he had to. He could have been same. It's the same thing. Same case.
Right.
So you have to give him the whole schar. Why? Because he did entirely his shlichus. the end result is not. It doesn't depend on him. That the guy all of a sudden felt better. So it's not. What does that have to do with the guy? He did his. So it comes out in the Shulchan Aruch that a person who orders work, and in the end the guy does the work, and in the end it's not needed, so he has to pay the worker, even though he has zero benefit from it. Right? There's a big stain still on my shirt. What, I can't use the shirt. What's the difference? Right? What practical difference did you make in my life? This shirt is still unusable, but you did your shlichus, you did your work out completely. For example, if somebody orders a repairman to fix a machine, and after he fixes it, right, you tell him the you know, I don't know, my tire's flat. So he comes and he changes your tire. Turns out your transmission is gone too. Okay, you didn't tell him anything about the transmission. How's he supposed to know about this? He did his avodah. He changed your tire. The fact that you can't use the car because you have a bad transmission is not his problem.
Right.
So and you have to pay him the whole thing. However, if the repairman didn't fix the actual thing he was brought there for, right? Or let's say it could be also any sort of serviceman, the electrician, plumber, whatever it is. So then there are some machrayim who hold that you don't have to pay him, unless there's some benefit from his coming there.
Oh.
Right, like for example, he gave he gave an eitzah that for an electrician, you know, on how to fix the problem, or what you have to do to fix the problem. So then you have to pay him how much? You have to pay him only to the degree that he assisted, not the whole thing, only to whatever degree it's that opinion is worth, or to the degree that whatever he did was worth. And there are other achrayim that hold that it's that as long as it wasn't his fault, meaning you called a plumber, and he's coming, he's working on it, and then he realizes, wait a second, this pipe can't be fixed. You're gonna have to order a whole new pipe. You're gonna have to what's it called, for this or whatever. But it wasn't his fault. That's unfixable. Then you still have to pay him for all of his for according to hours of his work.
But that's if it's why should there be machlokes? It is shalom be'ashmosoi. He should get paid, reimbursed in Ganson. What's even the shaila?
So, what's the difference? I'll tell you the difference. The difference is in the case of the dry cleaner, he did his full shlichus. Or I guess maybe these guys would hold the dry cleaner no. But let's go back to the case of the Shulchan Aruch. In the case of the apples, he successfully brought the apples from there to here. You don't need them anymore.
That's nothing to do with him.
Here, he didn't fix the problem. He didn't complete the shlichus. Even though it wasn't his fault, but he didn't complete the shlichus. It would be like if the guy with the apples came back with no apples, and he said, I went and they didn't have apples. It's not his fault they didn't have apples.
Right.
But Bepashtos, he didn't bring back apples. He didn't, So here's the question: it's not his fault there was apples. The truth is, right? And the truth is that realistically speaking, als menschlichkeit, if I paid someone $20 to go to Giant Eagle and get me apples, and it comes back and they don't have apples, I'll still give him the $20 because it's not his fault he didn't have apples. But the question is, the halacha, does he have to? And it's a machlekes of the Rishonim.
So the case of the cleaners,
I guess it would fall in the same.
You see, the case of the cleaners is
But the cleaners may be different because his job is to run it through a certain. his job isn't about your stain. It's about he's supposed to dry clean it. The fact that your stain isn't susceptible to dry cleaning might be a little bit different. So that might be like a little bit of an in-between case.
Most dry cleaning contracts they will do whatever, but they do not guarantee they will remove the stain.
And they still have to pay.
You still have to
said,
pay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
of course.
the truth is that nowadays by dry cleaners, it's going to be again. It's going to be a whole different situation. It's going to be a whole different situation by dry cleaners. And I'll tell you why. Because you have Minaga Medina, a Minaga Mokim, right? The Minaga Mokim Stamazay, you go to the dry cleaners, they're not guaranteeing you that all your stains are going to come out if it's a very hard stain. B, even more important, generally speaking, on the ticket that you have, it actually says it has a what do you call it?
A disclaimer.
It has the conditions. They have clear conditions. So Bichlal, this is a difference. Nowadays on the dry cleaners, this wouldn't really be so. Okay, but fine, but still, al pias svara, the dry cleaner could in theory fall under this thing. And by the way, the truth is, even nowadays, an electrician and a plumber and everything else, they're already coming there with a certain understanding, and you have a certain understanding with them, but you're going to override all of this anyways. Because it's going to go by what the norm is, and really, it won't even go by what the norm is, because what's going to trump the norm is that you have a haskam befeirush. And generally speaking, with whether it's a plumber, electrician, v'chulu, usually there's a haskam befeirush. But sometimes not if it's the neighborhood guy or whatever. But at the very least, there's minhag hamakim, to rely on here. So now if we're talking about a field where it's known that they charge for the fact that they visit, which most plumbers fall under that. Generally speaking, with plumbing companies, there's you need a plumber, so he'll check it out, and maybe this is why they do it. But it's $65 for him to show up. And then pay him $65. Now he's gonna give you his opinion. That's all you're getting. You're getting his opinion for $65, $85. Depends if he came on short notice or not short notice, whatever. You get his opinion. Then listen, I'll give you my opinion. That costs you $65. On top of that, I'm also going to give you a quote. If you want me to do the work, here's the quote for the work. Right. So in such cases where it's understood that they're charging for the fact that they're showing up, then you have to pay him that amount to show up. Even if he shows up and looks at it and says, before he doesn't do anything, he says, listen, this can't be fixed. I'm sorry. You need to install a new furnace. Here, call a furnace company if you want. I'll recommend you furnace companies. I don't install furnaces. I only fix furnaces. This furnace is not fixable. Now here's your bill for $85 for my showing up. And that's you show up, then you got to pay me $85. Or for example, right? Sometimes they'll show up for $85, and then he'll give you a quote. His quote is too high. I can't. What you want to try? He'll say, "Listen, you need a new furnace. Here's how much it'll cost you for a new furnace. You want me to do it? It's too high." Fine. On the other hand, if it's in an industry that they do not usually charge for showing up, right? Let's say carpenters, contractors, whatever, right? They give you a free quote usually. They don't usually charge you to give you a quote. So
yeah, also landscaping also. Usually they
right.
don't charge.
You're right. They'll show up and they'll say, okay, here's what you need. Now you want it or not. Fine. right? They don't charge you for it. So in that case, unless they made a Tnai Befeidush beforehand, then it's not gonna then you're not gonna pay them. 1 second, let me just before time runs out, I just want to I'm just reminding the family, since there's still time, if anybody missed Sfiras Ha'emer last night, that they could still chaparayin. Okay. Fine. Right. So if it's so again, this is what I meant. What everything here follows really a very distinct logical pattern. 1 is haskama, 2 is minhag hamakim, 3 is what we can assume the understanding to be. So over here we see this. We see that if it's a usual thing in that field, right? That's the minhag hamakim, that in that field they charge to show up. Then he doesn't have to say anything. You have to pay him to show up. If the minhag hamakim is not so, you don't pay him, unless what trumps minhag hamakim? If there was a haskama befeidush, so that trumps it. Then yeah, you pay him. Why? And you'll tell him, it's not minhag hamakim. Who charges? Listen, we made it tonight beforehand. I asked you first. I told you, listen, I'm very busy now. I don't have time to show up for free. If you'll pay me $85 to show up, I'll show up. And you said, okay. I don't care if it's minhag hamakim or not at that point. So now all of this is when he's ordering a craftsman or a repairman, whatever it is, to fix something that is his, that the balabais owns. But on the other hand, if the balabais orders an item to purchase, or not to purchase, let's say, like we said before, I'm hiring you to write a mezuzah, right? And I'll buy it without saying I'll buy it from you, right? So a mezuzah by a sefer stam, something like this, and then after he wrote it, there was an anus, and it became puzzle. Right? He said, what a perfect the mezuzah, the sefer was looking, it looks perfect, it's wonderful, and he held it too close to the candle and it burnt up. It's not good anymore. So he doesn't have to pay him at all. Why?
Who did it? Who did this accident?
This is interesting because this goes against what we said before.
Who did this accident?
The sefer.
The sefer. Okay, so fine. You know.
But you know what? This goes against what we said before. Because before we said that if he says, "Make me this thing," he's like a sefer. If he says, "Make me this thing and I will buy it from you," then he's like then he's like a kaina. But in either case, over here, that's what he says, that it's the Piski Mishpat in this case, he says he doesn't, if it gets messed up, he doesn't have to pay him. Why? Because he's not a payil, but rather he's a meicher. But again, this goes against what we learned before. Because before we learned that if he says, "And I will buy it from you," then he is a meicher. But if he says, "Just make me this thing," then he's like a sachir. So I guess we have to assume that we're talking in a case here,
Okay.
where he said, "And I will buy
That's
it from you." That's what
Red
I'm
rice.
talking about.
You try a little bit. Just make me happy.
So now ismasrus asachi laveda, right? The
Just a little bit.
a worker has to be ibergegeben to his work. Koswa Rambam Shulchan Aruch ein apel reshai lasis melacha balaylo, meaning his own work. He's not allowed to moonlight. And then to work a regular job in the day. And he shouldn't give all his food to his children and starve himself. Meaning he only has enough food. He's going to give all the food to his children and not any for himself. Why? Because you have an achrayus to whoever you're going to work for, that you should have strength. Why? Because he's weakening himself and he won't be able to do properly what he's supposed to do. Be very careful. A worker has to be careful not to waste time here and time there. He should be careful in particular about his time on himself. That they are makbid about the fourth bracha Birchas Hamazon, not to say it. I don't think it applies today by a from balabas. And so forth. So too, he has to work with his whole strength. He said, because with all my strength I worked for your father. That's why he was able to be Makabel Schar also in this world. Like it says, Yankiv became, you're muted, Chazan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We jumped.
No.
This is Siv Gimel. Shin Lamed Hey Siv Gimel.
Oh,
And now
Oh,
we're
you jumped.
doing his Chassidus, Perek Yud Gimel Al Chavav.
Yeah, it's Sif Chof.
Is that what we do? We jump from Gimel to Chav.
Yeah.
So this is Siv Chav. Simon.
Yeah.
Simon.
Shin Lamed Hey, I think.
Shin Lamed Zayin.
Oh yeah, Shin Lamed Zayin. Yeah. Oh, first it was Utes. It went from where? Yeah, the fact that he shouldn't do it at night and that he shouldn't starve himself. That's Shin Lamed Zayin Utes, and then it jumps to Sif Chof.
But my question is, I'm sorry, it's a technicality, but the last thing we spoke was Sif Gimel. So we just jump from Gimel to Yites? Is that what we do?
Yeah. It's only select pieces of it.
The Sif Aleph, Sif Tes, Sif Gimel.
Yeah, jump.
And now Sif you Yites and Chav. Okay. We go by what it says in the footnotes, right?
Yeah, well, we go by what's in here. That's what's in here.
Yeah. Then he has Shulchan Aruch Siman Kuf Tzadik Aleph.
That's in where in Chaim. No, where are you?
It's 26. It doesn't say where.
26. Yeah, it's in Eira Chaim, I believe. Oh, he doesn't say it there because I think he says it in the text.
Barachaim.
Yeah. So in Eira Chaim Mevor, that in these times, a worker should do also the fourth brach of benching. That nowadays it is not the way of a balabas to be so makbid that you're wasting time by saying that you shouldn't bench the fourth bracha Birchas Hamazon because you're wasting time and you have to go back to work right away. So nowadays mistama adas kain sechem pelim So that's basically it becomes minhag hamakim. And since it's minhag hamakim, that even if this particular balabas is what do you call it, right? And furthermore, even if he made this t'nai in the beginning of when he hired him, we don't listen to him because the minhag in our times is that workers bench v'chasamazin and they daven as usual, and therefore it's already considered like the balabas has accepted this upon himself as a chayva, and he does not have. So it's not even about his intention at this point, but he does not have the right to pull himself out of the cloud.
So let me ask you a question. What about Shachris Mincha Mariv if it's during the time of work? He's entitled to daven regular, in other words. Whatever you say by Birkas Hamazon, you would say by davening also.
Correct. So for example, let's say it's the type of job that is, like for example, you'll have now this doesn't really apply because they generally have time also because they have time in between shifts. The shachtim, the shachtim they'll
Yeah.
depending on the place, they're like 45 minutes on and 45 minutes off, 45 minutes, right? You have 2 shifts of shachtim, and every 45 minutes they switch, right? And these guys they shtel the chalaf and they check the chalaf and they what's it called? But also they say very often they sit in the 45 minutes. They have chavrusis also. I've seen this.
Really? They shech straight for 45 minutes, they stop, they learn for 45 minutes.
Shift change.
Shech for another 45 minutes, and then
they shift
sit.
change. They have a break 45 minutes. Then the other shift comes in, and you're back out 45 minutes, off 45 minutes. But it's a long shift. It's like a 12-hour. What's it called?
Wow, it's hard work.
Yeah, but it's also nice that in the meantime. So you have 45 minutes to daven. Now, if you're gonna want to, when you're working, so I just can have Ram Mayarir, but
Yeah, right.
but you have time, and so they daven, right? You usually when whatever shift is the first shift that you can daven by, because they start very early, and so you'll daven, and during the other shift changes, right? They have 45 minutes. They'll take whatever 5-10 minutes, whatever is needed to just check the halafim or whatever to make sure that the halafim are ready for the next shift, and then they sit down with the Gemara, with the Shulchan Aruch. They sit and learn. So nowadays, that's the accepted thing is that they can daven, they can bench in the normal. So therefore, the balabos, it's not even about it goes further than just the fact, like usually you would say, is that listen, that's the minhag hamakim. Okay, because as we know that a haskama befeirush trumps minhag hamakim.
Yeah.
In this case, no. Even if he says I was befeirush, I made it tonight that they can't do the fourth bracha. We don't listen to him. He's why?
Yeah.
Because since essentially the kohol has accepted this as the norm upon themselves, he cannot be meitzi himself in the kohol and be mevatel mitzvah. Now a worker that ate with others has to also do mizumim. However, if he already finished his suda and they didn't finish yet, and they don't want to answer yet until they finish, then he should not wait for them to finish. Now you're already schlepping on the balabas. Rather, bench by yourself, and because this is already a place where it would be normal that people would be makbid. And this comes from the Mishnah Brura. Okay, different being busy with other things during work. A payil is not allowed to stop his work for his employer to take care of his personal inyanim, or to learn Torah, or similar. Even during a time that he's sitting and waiting for orders, and he doesn't have what to do. he still has to get the rishus from the employer. Similar, if he wants to use a phone or any other of the business belongings, something that belongs to the business, he must get the rishus from the employer. Okay, session 17. The isur of halonas schar. So it says in the Torah, leisasik sachir, leisasik schironi, ve'evin me'achecha, oy megerich asher ba'aretzecha bishorecha. Right? Be'yoymei titin schari, ve'leisavi olav hashemesh. Ki anihu, ve'ilov hu neises nafshi, ve'lo yikari alecha ala Hashem, ve'hoya b'cha chet. Right, so you should not oppress the onion evian from your brothers or from the visitors in your or from the strangers in your land, in your gates. In your gates, I think here, I believe here means in your cities. On the same day, you should give him his pay, and it should not the sun should not set on it, because he's poor and he's relying on this money to survive. And he should not cry out against you to the Eibishter, and you will have a transgression. Right? So that is in Dvarim. Furthermore, it says in Vayikra, we actually just had this. Don't do not. This was in Kedeshim, I think. If I recall right. You do not oppress your neighbor. Do not steal, and do not let the payment of your worker rest with you until the morning. So mitzvah asi l'shalim schar malach shel pel bizmanei. It's a mitzvah asi to pay him on time, like it says b'yomei titin schari. What does b'yomei mean? Pshat yomei is bizmanei, in its time. Additionally, we also find a leisase about this. What's the leisase? Leisavei olav hashemish. That's a leisase. Don't let the sun set on it. Yeah. Chazal explained that what's V'lei Savi Olav Hashemesh? That's talking about a night worker. That at the end of his work, at the end of the night, starts the time of pay. And you have to give it to him, meaning he worked at night, you have to pay him by the following sunset. Right? The time to pay him starts from when he finished working at the end of the night, and you have until the next sunset. And if you were delayed and you didn't give it to him by shkia of that following day, then you're over in the lav l'savi olav hashemesh. Right? Meaning besides the mitzvah sasi b'yem titin schari, you're also over on l'savi olav hashemesh. Now the other pasuk l'salin pula sachir itchad baker. This has to do with a daytime worker. That at the end of the day starts the night, starts the payment time. And the Torah warned him, you need to pay him by the end of the night. And if you didn't pay him by, I guess, sunrise, whatever it is, then you were over in olav. Right? So basically, you have from when the guy finishes, the guy worked at night, you can pay him until the following night begins. If he works in the day, you can pay him until the following day begins. Now, in a case where he is thinking about where his plan was really not to pay him at all, was to stiff him altogether, right? Called Kavish Schar Sachir. So then he actually is over on 5 lavin, all 5 that we mentioned above, which is lo sashik isriyacha, do not oppress your fellow, right? So he's over on that. That's 1. Lo sigzel, you're not paying him. You're stealing. You're over on stealing. Lo solim pulasachir itchad baker, right? Which usually is for a daytime worker, but in this case, it doesn't make a difference, nighttime or daytime. You weren't planning on paying him at all, so for sure you were gonna. And do not oppress. Do not what's it called? Do not oppress your workers on Evian. And leisavi olav hashemish. And in addition to those 5, also b'yemet titin schari. This is if he intended to do it. Okay, so where does this Isra apply to? The Mishnah in Maseches Bav Metzia, it explains that it's talking about not just about an employee, but also not just in the hiring of a human, but also in the hiring of items from your human. For example, you hired out his donkey from him. You hired out tools from him. So rentals, echad schar adam, ve'echad schar behema, ve'echad schar kelim. Yesh bay mishum b'yemei titin schari. Not just is he over on the mitzvah sa'aseh, but also v'yesh mishum leisolin pulasachir itchad baker.
Can I ask you a question? Are you over all 5?
When
you withhold a donkey, a lawnmower?
No. If you're over all 5, only if you were intending to not pay at all.
So if you intend not to give
You
back,
weren't planning on delaying. Really, you were planning on not paying at all. You're not
so
paying.
here you're not intending on giving back the animal.
Right. So not only you're stealing from him, but on top of that, you're also by not paying him at all. Obviously, you're paying him late too. Well, it's not about giving him back. It's not about giving him back the animal. It's about giving him the payment for the animal. All this applies to giving the payment for the animal. It's not the animal itself giving him it back to him is a whole separate issue. Here we're talking about you gave the animal back. Now you have to pay him the rental of the animal.
Okay, fine, great. So then if you withhold it, you're koivesh the schar. So then
So if it's intentional, you're over on all 5.
all 5, yeah, right. If you're koivesh sochir, it's not only
if you're not planning on paying him at all. If you are planning on paying him, so you're just paying him late, then you're always over on b'yemet titin schari.
The truth of the matter is that this is dovar hamosur lev, and the Eibishter is the one who knows what you really have in mind.
Yeah,
and
well,
if you're just playing for time, but you're really not giving the money back, so then you're over on
right.
the lav.
And the truth is at this point anyway, that's the only one who needs to know this. There's no
Right.
because we're not talking about at this point based on extracting it from him or giving him a knas or anything.
Yeah.
All we're talking about is what is your aver on. So yeah, and the only one who has to know is the Eibishter because all this is stuff against the Eibishter.
Right. You're telling the guy basically, if you don't do what you're supposed to, you should know that the Eibishter knows, and you're accountable for 5 lavin and one asay. That's really what's going on.
Yeah,
over
not just that. Mamish 5-11 day Raisa and 1 asay day Raisa. You're aver on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, I'll tell you, it's funny because I know of such cases where we're going through people.
Yeah.
And they schlep people on what? In other words, this is in a way this is worse than eating chazer. Why? Because that's between you and that was between you and the Eibishter. Here, on top of that, you harmed another person. It's been lachaveri.
Unfortunately, it's very common in schools
Yeah.
where they don't pay, where they know they don't have the money to pay their teachers, and the
terrible.
teachers are still working.
So the question will be, if you remember before, we said that teaching Torah operates on a heter altogether. But then again, the Lamudi Chayil people, there's no such heter. You don't need the heter. So, but still, even so, it's 100%. And Bichlal, it's also, it's from a logical sense, it's damaging also because ultimately you're also, now you have to take who's willing to operate in such there's teachers who leave because of this kind of thing. There's schools lose good teachers because but
Yeah.
it's unfortunately it's a normal thing. And in schools, you're right, in schools it's more common. Why? Because what are they gonna do? Because they're not gonna take the Mesa to
Yeah, terrible.
although I'll tell you I'll tell you a beautiful story. He's with Yudel Krinsky. So somebody I know was working in a school, and the school didn't pay them and didn't pay them and didn't pay them, and finally I think it closed down even without paying them for like a year's worth of pay or something. How they survived, I don't even know. So they took it up before, because the school's under Marcos. They took it up under, what's it called? Anyway, they came up with the pshara. This is how much we have right now to what's it called? We're gonna pay you all of this. We're gonna pay you such and such in one shot now, right? Everything.
Well, but that wasn't the whole amount.
Whatever it was, but I think also they were able to do it. Maybe it wasn't the full amount. But they but on top of that, they did some other things to make up for the rest of the amount, for other parts.
So the guy was
said, look, we don't have cash right
enough.
now. Well, listen, if we can give you this, and this right now, will that satisfy you? And everybody said, yeah, we'll take it. Right? And they somehow figured out that they're gonna get some other benefits in lieu of the money. Maybe vouchers of some sort for you know what I'm saying. But I don't remember what it was, but they got something else in lieu. But the money, that's how much there was there. We can give you half the money, and we'll give you all these, and they have to sign off that they're accepting these vouchers and whatever it is as the payment. About a year later, whatever it was, they got a check from they all got a check from Yudel Krinsky for the rest of the money.
Wow. Even
though they signed off. They weren't chayiv to them. So
was there like
it's a very big thing of menschlichkeit. That even though they gave them they figured them out for them other ways to help them, so it should be like the equivalent or whatever.
Shove Kesef and all that.
But what they were owed the money, half, even though they all signed off on it. They all signed off that they're not owed anything more.
What year was
it? Nothing. He didn't call that. They received that. They get all of a sudden one day a check in the mail with the rest of the money.
What year was this?
It was a while. It was probably a good 20 years ago.
After the P'tir of the Rebbe? After the
for sure. After well after Gimel Tammuz. Probably about 20 years ago.
Kol hakavod to him. Beautiful.
And the mamish, they signed off that they're right.
He did.
They had some rabbanim that helped mediate it and discuss it, and okay, if we come with this, so it comes up this, so like this we can anyway, yeah. So and they sent them all the
I would imagine
the remaining cash amount. They all got a check for the remaining amount.
I would imagine it was a substantial amount. No, it wasn't like $100 or $1,000.
No, it was like you're talking about like It's 6 months worth of pay or something for a bunch of things, so some very substantial amount.
30 grand, 50,
So
15
whatever,
grand.
at least 15, 20 grand. I don't know exactly what they pay the teachers there, but
Look
whatever.
at that. You could save a person's life.
And it's a bunch of them. Not only that, he already essentially figured out how to make them whole, so they're not so they're, and he signed off that they're accepting this as a pay. So mitzad din, he had no requirement. But it shows on it that a person that you know what I'm saying, he holds by that, he deals in such, and I mentioned the clay like this.
Kol hakavod to him. Beautiful, beautiful
they were
story.
owed the money. We backed them, even though they signed off on it. Anyways.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So, yeah, and I just remembered it because I remembered I was very impressed by that.
He's a good guy. I think I've always said
because
it. He's a good person.
because not only that, especially like we say, when you have schools that are left and right burning people, for somebody to stand behind the teachers this way and is uncommon in
Tell me about it. I
Yeah.
taught for 20 something years.
Yeah. Anyways,
but nicht angehen them.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's gonna be the same thing, meaning, but if it's Kalim, if it's a behemoth, so if his intent was not to pay him, he'll be over on all five and the asay. If he is intending to pay them, but he's just slapping on them, then he'll be the mitzvah asay b'yemitit nschari, and either leisalin ad beker or leisavi alav hashemish, depending on if the rental finished at night, if he was renting it by night or by day when it finished.
Let me ask you, as every day passes, are you, and this is a technical issue, that does every evening that passes another isur, he's over another isur?
I believe he's going to touch on that shortly.
Because even if it didn't, in other words, yesterday's isur doesn't go away. That stays. Night one or day one is
right. The question
it stays.
Right.
But now,
the question is it every morning? Is it every morning that passes, and
it's a compound. It compounds. It doesn't take away the previous one. It's not one long isur. It compound.
Right,
5 nights, 6 nights.
Meaning, if it's a night worker, does every next shkia is a new isur, or alternatively by a day worker is every new
right
sunrise and isur?
And we compound the isurim like as the days pass by. So the first night the first day is 5 isurim. The second one is 10 isurim. The third day is 15 isurim, and so forth.
I don't think they would multiply in each other, but I think it would be a new isur.
And what happened to the old isur?
Also, it's still there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Meaning every day he has. But it would be the first
5 new isurim. 5 new
each time. If his intention is to not pay them.
Yeah.
And I think he'll touch on that on what it is on if it's how it works.
It's occurred to me.
If it's a new one, if it's whatever. Anyways, so in the Gemara there it brings in the words of the Mishnah, right in the pasuk, it talks about a person. Where do you have kalim? Talmud leimar ba'aretzecha, right? That it says ba'aretzecha bishorecha, kol she'ba'aretzecha. Anything that is in your land, not just people, but but this applies to anything. Haramed diek midivdei Gemara, shedavke al davar shenimtza ba'aretz, kemei behema v'kelim eiver beval talin. Avol ala aretz atzma kalimar schirus karka ein eiver beval talin. Why? Because it's called bi'aretzecha, right?
Upon the land.
Yeah, in the land, but excluding the land itself. And his words are brought in the Torah. Shulchan Aruch writes, mitzvah losis tchar socher bizmanevim icharei eiver belav echad schar adam oy behema ikelim. Aval al schar karka yesh mishaymer she'enay over. Meaning, who's the yesh mishaymer is the Rameh. And so too it is in Shulchan Aruch Harav. The Ktseis writes that since there are those that hold that a house is considered talush, right? Even though it's now connected to the ground, but it had to have been disconnected from the ground first at some point, right? First it was disconnected and then reconnected, so it's talush. Yesh lochush ledivreim beinyan isur bal tolin. Why? Because it's isur deraisa. And according to this, if you for land, you're not over on bal tolin, but for a house or a dwelling place or a building, a structure, we would be makbid that he is over on bal tolin. Why? Because it's a suffix deraisa. Shar Mishpat, he was even more stringent. And he wrote that even by land mamish, we should be machmir. That even by this, the Isra of Ba'atolin applies. And also from the Smag and the Yireim, it's also, it comes out that they disagree with the Rameh, and they hold even on land. Lemaise, the Achreinim, they wrote that you should be makbit and pay schar dira on time if the balabas is claiming it. However, when they made a tanai that the seicher has to pay ahead of time, like for example nowadays, that's the usual is that you pay ahead of time, right? Back then they used to pay after. So then it's mistabed that you're not even on Baltolim. Meaning if you pay late from in the beginning of the month. Back then, at the end of the month, right? Because remember, back then, since you're paying at the end of the month, by the time you're paying it, by the time the end of the month, so that means the schar is due already. So you have to pay it by the next night or the next day or whatever.
You mean
Nowadays,
before the night before the night is over, or what?
Yeah.
In other words, before the new month enters. In other words,
or from 12 hours, like 12 halachic hours within the next 12 halachic hours after the month ended, within the first 12 hours of the new month.
in other words, by the shkia he should pay. Let's say tonight's Rosh Chodesh.
Until if it goes to the month, right? So
You
then
should
when
pay before Rosh Chodesh comes in.
It ends by shkia,
Yeah.
right? It ends by shkia when Rosh Chodesh is coming in, right?
So he has to pay before the shkia.
So by shkia means you have to pay before sunrise.
Before sunrise, or why is before
12 hours.
sunrise?
12 halachic hours.
We give him 12
that
hours.
Was the rule. Because the rule is that a worker who works at night, you have to pay him by the next night.
Yeah.
A worker who works during the day, you have to pay him by the next morning.
He's getting paid. He's not getting paid
by a worker when if he's working by night, you have 12 halachic hours from the end of night, and by a worker who works by day, you have 12 halachic hours from the end of the day.
So he's getting paid what, nightly or daily? What's the?
Now remember. Now obviously there's a different haskama that's different. We don't usually pay by the day.
So let's say he pays.
But the schir yom we're talking about is by the schir yom we're talking about. He gets paid daily. So if he finishes his shift,
he gets paid at the shift.
Right. If he's a night shift,
he gets paid at the end of the night shift.
He gets paid within 12 halachic hours from the end of the night.
You mean so if he finishes at night?
Why? Because then it's, if it's a night shift guy, then it's leisovil of hashemesh. You have to pay him. You have to pay him during that next day sometime.
Before sundown.
Either right after he finishes. Listen, the ideal is right after he finishes, because that's the easiest. He's there. You
But
shouldn't have to go run around and find him.
but before sundown.
But before the following sundown.
Okay, and
12
then we
hours.
talking yet. And what about if he's a daily worker?
Before the
He
next
finishes
sunrise.
at the end of the day
Before the next sunrise.
for sunrise. Right?
Right. That's Leisolin Ada Baker.
Yeah.
So in this case, when does rent end? Rent ends at the end of the day. Right? By Shkia on the last day of the month. Right? If it's monthly.
So, but so
So-
when does he have to? When does
So
the money have to
Mistaber,
be
you would
in?
have to pay him by sunrise the next morning.
Always 12 hours extra, I guess.
From 12 hours from either
From the end of the lease
from the
or the end
next
of the.
from the closest Shkia or sunrise that follows.
Where does this
He doesn't say it by here, but he says it applies the same like a worker. So that's how it is by a worker. I'm just drawing a logical conclusion here.
by the
Because
worker
because by a worker, it
Yeah.
goes by that by if he works at night, right? So you have from that sunrise, you have 12 halachic hours to pay him by the
So
next
hold on
year.
a second. So what you're telling me is that a worker is the same thing as schirus buys, right? And we said
yeah.
that renting objects is the same thing as a soicher, right?
Right.
So
So
then
renting objects. So renting
all three
objects,
cases are the same.
It would depend when the rental ends.
Exactly. So then all three cases, rental of goods.
Right.
re-
Well, the
uh,
reason I'm saying schiras bias is usually going to be that way is because generally schiras bias is for a month.
They say that, but I'm saying the
So when does the
principle
month
of
end? So it just happens to be the month ends by shkia. So therefore, it would be by the following nates or whatever.
right. So then what you're saying is the renting of a house, the renting of an object, and the hiring of a worker, right? The din of paying the wages or whatever, the rent or the money for the objects, all has to be within the 12-hour range of when it ends.
It would seem, if in other words, if he says that that Baltolin applies, that's the definition of Baltolin.
And we said before that Balton doesn't only apply to the worker,
Right,
but
it
it
applies
also
to things. So Baltolin, so it would go.
everything.
It would seem it goes by the same timelines.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how Baltolin
I'm
is.
just adding the dots. That's all. I'm just
Yeah.
yeah.
And according to um um according to who was it? To a lot of according to the Smag, according to the Reim, according to the Shar Mishpat,
Yeah.
also Karka, and according to the Rameh, not Karka. So so it comes out of this that a person who hires somebody to work by them, for example, a tutor, a consultant, a babysitter, all of these, Baltolin would apply. Similarly, renting a car, renting equipment, renting an item would also be the Isser Baltolin would apply to it. And even if the babysitter is a katan or katana, it would still be the Isser of Batalin. So what would that mean? That means if the babysitter finishes at 9 at night, you should pay them right away when they're leaving and not push it off. Why? Because in the morning, by Alisa Shachar, he's over from Baltolin. I'm not sure why that's considered a day worker, not a night worker. Now, by a guy, the accepted shita in the Peskim is that there is no Isser about Tolin. However, you have to be careful, anyways, in if there's any possibility of Chil Hashem. Even though technically the mitzvah doesn't apply. These lavin don't apply by them. However, in Shalos Chuvis Van Hagis, he's leaning to say, wait.
What page are you now?
We missed something. Here we are. We're on the bottom of 53. Tashlum.
Yeah.
Milgul Avrechim. So in the Shalos
David
Chuvis,
Alevi, right?
David Alevi, yeah, he writes that by Chelul Avrechim, it's no that they're looked like as workers of the Menahel or the Rishkelu. Why? Because a person who establishes a Kelu is accepting on themselves, or they're receiving a sponsorship from various places, and he himself is also getting a parnasa from this, the Reish Kelul or the Menahel, and he chooses Avrechim that seem to him to be fitting to their Seder Limud. And through this is how the place keeps running. So according to this, when he's paying the stipend, it would also be Baltolin if it's paid late. And the Pesach Cheshen also writes this. However, the Shalos Chuvas Van Hagis, he leans to say no. They're not like an employee. Rather, they're like someone who's receiving tzedakah and sponsorships. Why? Because the Menahel, his kavana isn't to make a business out of it. Taka, he has to get paid because he's got to pay his mortgage too. But he's not looking to make a business. He's doing this for the good of the Avrechim. And therefore, they're not considered like workers. Rather, they're considered like people getting a tzedakah or sponsorship or this kind of thing. Okay, when are you over on the Isser? So we already said Schir Yom gave a kol halayla, Schir Layla gave a kol hayom. Uba Gemara Tan Rabbanim Minan Schir Yom she gave a kol halayla, Talmud Leimar Leisolin Pula Sachir Itcha Ad Beker. Right, that's how you know that a Schir Yom you can do the whole night until the morning. And the Schir Layla, how do you know that you can that he collects the whole day? Because it says B'yemei Titin Schari. Let's say the opposite. Schirus that the obligation to pay only starts at the end of the work. So if so, it wouldn't make sense to say that b'yemei titin schare is talking about a schir yom. And he also then wouldn't say that Leisal and Pulasachir Itchad Baker is talking about a Schir Lailo. So the Shulchan Aruch says like this. Eizahuz Mane. What is the time? Schir Yom Yesh Loi Zman Litnei Loi Kol Halayla. A Schir Yom you can give the whole night. Right? You work in the day. You have that whole next night to give it to him.
This is what Shin Lamed Gimel is?
This is Seif Gimel in
I'm sorry, I'm just, I'm trying to do the Shin
Yeah, yeah,
Lamed Tes. Shin Lamed Tes, I think, no?
yeah, 1 second. Let me find it here. Shin Lamed Tes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is Seif Gimel. So he says that when's the time? The time is by a schir yom. You have the whole following night to give it to him. If he didn't give it to him, right, until Amad Shachar, Eiver Olav Babekin Mishum Batolin. Schir Laila, Zman Yelit Lekol Hayom. So he works the night, you have that whole next day to give it to him. Leinas Nolai Eiver Olav Ba'erev. So by Shkia, he's Eiver of Beyemi Titan Schari. Haramo Kosav Shepeolim Bizmanenu She'enem Eis Melocha Ad Halayla. Ela Misaimin Be'emtza Hayom Tzarich Laseis Schoram Ad Seif Hayom. Interesting. Because it used to be they would work from dawn till dusk, or a night worker would work from dusk till dawn. So that's why B'yayme is since it doesn't start only until the end. Right? Meaning it's only at when here it's very interesting. He's turning the whole thing on its head. When we said a schir yom, you can pay him the whole night, it's because we're assuming that he finishes working at Shkia. And therefore, B'yayim is going to give you that whole 12 hours. But the Ramah says, no, if the guy didn't work mamish until the night, then it's B'yayim. You have to give it on that day. And if the sun went down, he's Ovid from B'yayim Titan Schari. And because of Leisav Yolav Shemesh. However, if he works until night, then you have the whole night. Even if they didn't agree in the first place to work till the night, but they ended up working till night. So it's very interesting. So it turns out you don't have 12 hours. You have at most 12 hours. That's the max. That's the absolute maximum you're gonna have. Yep. It's gonna turn out you have not 12 hours, but you have a maximum of 12 hours according to the Rama. Weiter ist Schir Shois und Schir Shavua Echedesh. B'Mishnah Sham. Schir Shois gave a kol alayla v'kol hayom. Somebody who's works by hour, he collects the whole night and the whole day. Schir Shabbos, that means you're for a week, you're paid by a week. Schir Chedesh, Schir Shana, Schir Shavua, meaning a 7-year employee. Yotze B'Yayim, yeah, gave a kol hayom. Yotze B'Layla gave a kol hayom.
What do you mean, Schir Shos, go with Kol Hayom, Schir?
He can collect for the whole, if he goes on the day, so it's the whole night and the whole day. We'll see
The whole
soon.
night and the whole day?
What is he talking about here? We'll see what he's talking about here. Yeah, so the whole night and the whole day, which is not what we said before. But Schir Shabbos, or if he works for week, by month, by year, or by 7 years, if he goes out in the day, he collects the whole day. If he goes out by night, he collects the night and the day.
The whole night and the whole day?
Yeah. Well,
So
it would probably mean just till the end of That wouldn't mean the whole night. I think it would mean the remainder of the night and the whole day.
That's when he comes out when? At night?
Yeah, if he comes out at night, then so the remainder of the night and the day. If he comes out during the day, just the remainder of the day.
So if he comes out at night, it means to say that he finished at sundown.
Or well, he would have to finish after sundown.
Well, I understand. He's a schir yom or schir laila.
He just would seem he's not very clear here.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
I'm
it
saying.
depends. It depends if he's it would seem like it seems like in this case he's not even he's not even a schir yom. He's a schir sha'is. He's saying, what if he's not a schir yom? Before we were talking about a schir yom or a schir laila. Here we're talking about a schir sha'is, schir Shabbos, schir chedesh, schir shana, schir sheva shonim. So we'll see. The Gemara is we're gonna discuss what are we talking about here. But Gemara nachlaku Rav Shmuel beviu divrei Mishnah b'negel schir yom. So the Gemara, Rav and Shmuel, they disagreed on what this Mishnah is talking about when it comes to schir yom. The Das Rav kavonas HaMishnah leimar she'im hu schir sho'is b'sho'is hayom geiva kol hayom ad seif hayom. Ve'im hu schir sho'is b'sho'is halayla geiva kol halayla. Which would that would line up with what we said in the Ramah just before.
It's mashma from the way
Right.
he's mefarish that he's not working the whole day and he's not working the whole night. He's just working a few hours.
Yeah,
So if you work to say
but that lines up with what we said by Yischir Yom before, just above in the Ramah. The Ramah said that if that what does it mean? It doesn't mean you have the whole following. It means you have until the end of the reason that we say it's 12 hours, it's maximum 12 hours.
yeah, but hold on a second. Here we're saying that he's working 6 hours, right? 6
Oh,
hours at night. So he's
So
working
according
6.
to Rav, if he finished during the day, he has the rest of that day to pay him. If he finishes at night, he has the rest of that night to pay him.
Yeah, but when did he finish that day? He finished at 5 o'clock, and then what? And he has another 2 or 3 hours till sundown.
Yes,
So he should pay him those are 2 or 3 hours, right?
Hey, well, listen, now this lines up with the Ramah up here.
That said that.
That's what the Ramah just said. The Ramah said that when do we say he has until the next morning, right? 12 hours. He has until the next day, 12 hours. It's back when they used to work from dawn to dusk and dusk to dawn. So when he finishes at Shkia, that gives you automatically another 12 hours till the next.
Right, but if you work till 5.
But if you only work till 5 p.m. and Shkia is at 8 p.m., you only have 3 hours, says the Ramah.
Yeah, and that's like Rav.
Yeah, so what the Rav is saying fits in very, very, very clean with that.
Right. Shmuel comes to Mishnah, schir shoes b'shos hayom go v'kol hayom, ve'ilu schir shoes b'shas halayla go v'kol halayla v'kol hayom she'achrav. So he only argues really.
It was the night, meaning
only the night one.
According to Shmuel, you always have until Shkia. Right? You always have until the next Shkia. If it's 3 hours till Shkia, you're working the day, and it's 3 hours till Shkia, you have 3 hours. If it's past Shkia, you have until the following Shkia. You have almost 24 hours. It always goes by the next Shkia, according to Shmuel. So the Gemara asks on Rav that, hang on a second, from the siyum of the Mishnah, that a schir Shabbos or a schir Chedesh, etc., that goes out at night, he collects the whole night and the whole day. So that sounds like, so why would it be talking different by a schir shois? It would seem that's what it's talking about across the board. Where does he find to differentiate? So Rav Tiritz sheyesh b'zeh machlekes tanaim. Kemov b'braisa. Tzchir shois the yom geva kol hayom. Tzchir shois the laila geva kol halayla. Divri Rabbi Yehuda. Again, just like the Ramah. Fits cleanly. Rabbi Shimon Aimer. Tzchir shois the yom geva kol hayom. Tzchir shois the laila geva kol halayla kol hayom.
That's like Shmuel.
Correct.
Or
So he's
Shmuel
holding,
is like
and
is
he's
like
holding
him.
like Rabbi Yehuda. So he's saying, that the Mishnah says. He says it's a machlekes in the Mishnah. So that's like Rav Yehuda, like Rav, like the Ramah. Whereas Rabbi Shimon is like Shmuel, and like like Shmuel.
Like Shmuel, but we don't pass him like him.
It doesn't seem so. Certainly the Ramah doesn't.
Look, I mean, Rav is halacha kerav b'mamonus,
Yeah,
no?
right.
And Shmuel
Correct. The
beisurim.
Bisurim and Shmuel Bisurim. Yeah, exactly.
So it's was also, you know.
Right. So the halacha pas kurif Rambam matur kirav.
There are exceptions, but not many.
Halacha kirav keneged Shmuel Bisurim ukishmuel
Yeah.
b'maminis. And
There
here,
are there
and
there
here we're
are
talking
exceptions.
and here we're
There are
talking about
exceptions.
what? We're not talking about the maminis. We're talking about the isurim.
Right.
Right? Even though the isur happens to involve money, but we're not talking about the maminis here. We're talking about he's being even on isurim. Right? It's not a civil case, it's a criminal case.
Right.
Yeah. And where does and furthermore, there's another cloud that the halacha Rabbi Yehuda connected Rabbi Shimon. Right?
Well,
Even though that Mishnah is paskening like Shimon and Shmuel, but the Rav says no. We don't pasken that way. We pasken like Rabbi Yehuda. Shulchan Aruch Chishais im kol schirusay b'yom yesh le tashlum kol oisi hayom. Im kol balayla yesh le tashlum kol oisi halayla. Just like the Ramos said by Eschir Yom before, and just like Rav, and just like Rabbi Yehuda. Schir Shabbos, Schir Chedesh, Schir Shana, Schir Shavua, Yotza B'Yom, Geva Kol Eisi Hayom. Same thing, Yotza B'Layla, Geva Kol Eisi Halayla. So there is no, so across the board, whenever you finish,
you have the rest of the day.
By either that next shkia or by that next Amud HaShachar, you have to pay, and if you didn't, you're over on Baltalin. Now,
It's masha from here that if you finish after the shkia, in other words,
or
when
at
it's already
shkia.
at
If you
shkia,
finish at shkia, that's when
the
you'll
whole
have
night.
the maximum time. You'll have the full 12 halachic hours.
Right. But we're not talking about that. We're talking
And
when
that's
you finish.
right. So that's what the Rama was saying. That's what the Rama was saying. Is when
Very
do we
good.
say you have kol isay and or you have until the next? He's saying because back then when they were talking about a person would a schir yom would work from dawn till dusk, and a schir laila would work from dusk till dawn.
Right.
And therefore he had, because the next shkia or the next Amud HaShachar happens to be 12 hours in that case. But says the Ramah that nowadays that we don't have like that. People generally don't work mamish till you got to pay them in the next hour or two, whatever it is, that same day. Okay, working the kablonis, right? The Gemara b'hemshich hasugya ba'al minim Rav Sheshes kablonus eiver olav mishum ba'tolin or ein eiver olav mishum ba'tolin. Right? Okay, we already know what's a kablon. So the Gemara Masbiro, study Asafik. Uman kaina b'shevach kliva v'halvahi. I ein uman kaina b'shevach kliva schirosi. Meaning, an uman, a craftsman, he gets material from the balabas to make something. Right? Or alternatively, he gets a vessel, something He gets so that he needs to fix and or make it better.
So he fixes it.
Well,
He fixed it, right?
yeah, he fixed it or Grace, let's say he made engravings on it, something that makes it more valuable.
Yeah.
So Amiroim argued if through this Maisa that he did with the material, did he acquire for himself the increased value? Meaning until the point where the balabas is going to pay him. Meaning that he now has an ownership essentially on this material. How much? The amount that the difference in value that he created. He now has that amount of ownership until the guy's going to come pay him. Right? And then when the balabas comes and pays him for the item, he's now buying back the material plus the shevach. He's now acquiring the ownership of the shevach from the uman. Or is everything still belong to the balabais, and the uman is just a worker of the balabais to do the work on it. So if we say that the uman acquires the shevach, so then it turns out we have a buyer and a seller, and not this employment money. Right, and as far as the thing itself, he has a malva leva, meaning besides for the shevach. So there's two relationships here. There's the shevach that he owns, and on the material itself, right? There's the material and there's the increased value. So on the material itself, he's gonna be like a malva leva. On the shevach, he's gonna be an owner until the guy buys it from him. So then, Baltolin won't apply here. Why? We know Baltolin only applies by an employee.
Okay.
Right. So if we're gonna say that, it's gonna be an afkamin here. If he's just an employee of the balabas, when he finishes the item, if the guy doesn't come pay it right away, he's even on Baltolin.
Because he's an employee.
Yeah. If we're gonna say that he's an owner of the shevach and a loiva on the actual material itself, fine. Then he's not. Then there's no baltolin here. There's no employment.
Why?
So
What do you mean? He's because he's the owner of the object. Maybe
there's two ways of looking at it. One is he's an employee. The other one, the way of looking at it is that he's not working for him. Rather, it's a sale.
Right.
Wait, but the guy, what do you mean it's a sale? The guy gave you his materials. I brought you the silver to make it with.
Yeah.
Fine. So I'm gonna be a leva of the materials until you come back and take it. And on the increased value, which
on the work,
right, which also means the work.
Yeah.
On the work, I'm not your worker. Rather, I am an owner of the increased value. And now I'm going to sell you that increased value. I can't sell you the material. You brought me the material.
Very good. So then he's no by the
and then when Miltolin. So he asked of Rav Sheshes. So Rav Sheshes answered that in Kablonis you're able on Baltolin. And the Gemara brings a brisa to support him, that somebody who gives his talis to a craftsman, and he finished the work, and he informed him, Right? It's finished. Come take it. And he didn't come take it. So even 10 days after, he's not over from Baal Tolin. What does it mean here? The nosnei bechetzi hayim.
He gave him the finished object in the middle of the day.
Oh, he gave it to him actually. Okay, so in the first case, he didn't come to get it. So in the first case, he informed him it's done. So he says then he's not even on Batolin yet. But once he gives it to him, then it's going to be Batolin. Once he has to give it by the end of the day.
There's something he would give it to him without getting paid. Stam as a ha'ora. I'm just saying, stam.
Right, right. Usually, generally speaking, that's
Usually,
that,
no
that,
money,
that
no money, no honey.
been,
You know.
Right. That would have been a good time to exchange the funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a funny thing. Mari Breder of Kane Docha es Siyur of Sheish Mebraisa. So he pushes away this thing from the Braisa. Vehemid es a Braisa b'mikre sha'umen loy kibel es avoida ala talis bekablonis ol b'schis. Isn't there? No. What the Braisa is talking about is when he got it b'schirus, not bekablonus. V'hainu shesachil l'vatzei ha'pa'ula musuyamis b'talis v'sikmu she'yikabel eschari bein im yashbich zatalis u'bein im lav. He's working hourly for him. That in such a case, everybody agrees that there's no kinyan in the kli. Rather, he's a worker. It's clear he's an hourly worker. And then there's Baal Tolin. So meaning you have Mari Breided Avkana, he holds no. By a Kablin, there's no Baal Tolin. And that Braisa that you're saying shows that it's Baal Tolin is not talking about a Kablin, it's talking about a Schir Yoyim. Or a Schir Shois, whatever.
A sochir, anyway.
Yeah, it's talking about a Sochir. It's not talking about
And that's why he's chayiv on Baltolin.
And he would be Chayiv on Baal Tolin. And therefore, according to him, a Kablin would not be Chayiv on Baal Tolin.
Right.
Because this Mishnah that you're trying to show that a Kablin is Chayiv on Baal Tolin is not talking about a Kablin, it's talking about a Sachir. The Rif, the Rambam, and the Rosh, they all ruled like Rav Sheshes. Why? Because the Pashat Pshat of the Braisa is that it means like Rav Sheshes, and not like a Mori Breid Rav Kana is suggesting that the Braisa is talking about. Rather, no, it's talking about a Kablin that Braisa they hold. V'adchiyah shel Mori hidchiyah ba'olma she'em nismech aleh. Right. So this that Rav Mori says that it's that you don't have to understand the Braisa this way. Rather, you can say it's talking about only a Sachir. But the Rif Rambam and Rosh say that no, because the Pshat of the Braisa is like Rav Sheshes is saying.
Let me ask you a question. Are they saying that, rather, is Rav Sheshes saying that the Braisa is talking about a sochir, but if it would be a real kablonus, then he wouldn't be over? Or is he teaching the whole kablonus as a soicher?
Who? Rav Sheshes or Mari?
Rav Sheshes.
Basically, Rav Sheshes is holding like the Shita that a kablon is a sochir.
Le'inyan zeh. So he's not saying,
and
he's
not
not saying,
He's not saying he has the same rules as a Schir Yoyim.
I know, obviously not. He's not going to change, halachas and halachas of.
Let's put it this way. You know how before the Shulchan Aruch, there's a lot of confusion because it calls a payil. Sometimes it calls a sachir a payil, and sometimes payil could mean either a kablin or a sachir. So over here, when he says he means a payil, he's a payil. He's not a sachir, but he's a payil.
Yeah.
So he has which means the Indian zeh of Baal
It-
Talin, he has the halacha, yeah, of a Safi.
yeah. Okay, that's the way I understood.
Whereas the Rav Mari holds, like we said before, that he's selling him the increased value,
and he's lending him the material.
materials.
Material, yeah. We don't go like that. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Fine. Tur v'Shulchan Aruch, and this is going to be Shulchan Aruch Siv Vav.
Shin Lamed Tes, right?
Yeah, Shilamet Tes Siv Vav Shulchan Aruch is going to be. Nice and talisa l'uman l'talkna b'kablonis v'gamra. Kol's man chatalis b'yad l'uman einei eiver. Afilu ha'idea ish yavi l'shalom l'kach zatalis. The kivon sheyesh b'yad l'uman zatalis shel balabayis keneged haschar shetzarech l'kabel ein anikeda b'leisashik. Right? Why? Because he has he's holding the talis. He has what do you call it? Collateral. And you don't hold b'yei mititin.
Because he hasn't given him the fruits of his work. Is that
Right.
why?
I maybe I think a little bit because it's like a mashkin.
Shkoyach, was soll tun mit them? What should he do with this? He's stuck with this. He's Shkoyach. He has a one up on him because he's holding it as a collateral. But really, I think he should be.
Interesting. There's look at the note 27. The note 27 also says people who there's people who don't like what you don't like. So look at this. Look at note 27. Is that Bahisi B'Shulchan Harav Sham Shemizeh Yesh Lilmei Shekasher Bal Habayis Neisin Mashkin Lepoyo Ein Even B'Bal Tolin Omnam B'Pischei Tshuva Heir Shalavush Kosav Tam Acher L'Divrei HaShulchan Aruch V'Zel L'Shonei Kol Zman Shatalis B'Yad Ha'uman Afilu Acher Shegamrei Ein Even Olav Why Kivon She'ein Ha'uman So it's
mamish what I said. Because I said shkoyach, he wants to get paid for his work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He says, but it's not the same as a mashkin. If you owe me $10,000 and you give me an object which is worth $20,000 or even $10,000,
right? So there's
of course you're not.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not over Baltolin because I have a collateral which is connected to the choiv.
Right.
That kind of mashkin, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So now the question is this going to carry over to other cases of Baltolin?
According to the levush,
according to levush, no, and according to
no.
Harav, yeah.
Yeah, but logically, Bechilas, I don't understand it.
But it's just because he's holding it as a mechila. But so according to the levush, mashkin doesn't help.
Not here. Not here. Not in the case of
everywhere else.
Everywhere else, yeah.
No, so he's gonna say everywhere else. He's saying it only helps here, the levush.
You mean in the case of when he owes him money?
In the case where it's a kablin holding it,
yeah,
it's gonna help. Why? Because since he's still holding it, he's meichel to him.
Well,
Harav says no, it's a mashkin, and we can learn it out to the whole thing. That if a balabas, he let's say for example, he doesn't have what to pay the guy, and he gives him a mashkin, he's not over on basalin, according to Harav.
I mean, I can understand in the case over here, in the case of the kablan, that since he was loiva him the material, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's holding on to that material. So even though he wants to get paid for his work, so you can taina that the work is connected to the material, and therefore over baltolin.
Right. Yeah.
I can hear that.
I can understand this way.
Huh?
Yeah. It makes
and
sense.
that's where the mashkin would work to prevent the person of not
Right. The question is,
the customer from being, huh?
I guess the question here is the mashkin just because of the mashkin he's meichel and therefore is no batalin, or is the mashkin mamish work b'teiras mashkin?
Or b'teiras tashlum.
Right, but meaning so the difference would be if it works b'teira like as a mashkin, if mashkin works bichlal, then if I owe you money, let's say I hired you to race, I hired you to drive me around for the day. You have
Right.
nothing of mine in your hands, and I can't pay you, so I give you here. Hold on to my what's it called? Here, hold on to my Rolex, and until I pay you. So then there's no basalin according to this.
Why? Because he's mefias him with the mashkin. That's why.
No. That's according to Levush. Why? Because I gave him a mashkin, and if he has a mashkin, then he can't tie on me that I didn't pay him yet, because he's holding a mashkin. So the mashkin.
One second. Is that a form of payment?
The
mashkin is a form of payment.
It's not a form.
Rabbi Markel, I want to understand you.
It satisfies for Baal Solin. It would satisfy it.
Oh, so you're telling him that he's calming him down.
But it's not mitzad mechila.
No, not because mechila. It's because what you're telling me is like this. He gives him a mashkin, right? And he's calming him down. The whole thing of Baltolin is that the guy gets
right. Is you're doing him wrong.
Because the uncertainty.
I'm giving you a concrete thing. I'm giving you a concrete thing, so you don't have to worry that I'm not going to pay you.
So he's calming him down. It's a kind of a
fine. Yeah, we can say like this.
No, because it seems
from
here.
Not mechila, according to Levush.
Not mechila. He's not moich. The thing is this. What he's saying is like this. The whole sibba. I think the way to learn pshat over is like this. The whole sibba of Baltolin, which is mentioned in the Torah, is because he did work, and you don't pay him, he feels helpless. So you give him a mashkin, and that satisfies.
You're leaving me high and dry. But
if he gives him a mashkin, so it makes him ruig, right? It makes him.
So that would seem according to the Alter Rebbe,
right.
According to the Levush,
but if you but according to the Levush,
this doesn't help to give to Stamos to give mashkin. It's only in this case, since he has your material and since he has the talis, that this is what the payment is relied on. He didn't give it to you yet until you come and get it. He's Michael, but it's not a mashkin.
What do you mean? Who's Moichel?
According to the Kabbalah.
Yeah, but I'm saying
why? Because he didn't pick it up yet. So he's
the Kabbalah is holding it, so therefore there's no Baltolin.
Right. So based on the Levush, though, this wouldn't hold for in Stam a case of Baltolin, giving him a mashkin wouldn't help.
No, because it's not nitel lehotzah.
Right. It's only in this case.
It's only this case because here he's holding something, a property of his.
That you need, and you need it. And plus, you didn't pick it up yet, so I don't. It doesn't bother me that you didn't pay me because you didn't pick it up. If you picked it up and you didn't pay me, now it bothers me. Wait a second, you got your talis and I didn't get my pay.
Yeah. Very good. It's a bit complicated, but it's.
No. Listen, it's got to make sense too.
Yeah. I'm just trying. I inserted certain words over here.
There's no point understanding the sugya if we didn't understand the sugya.
No, but the thing that I said about calming him down and this and that, this is my own conjecture.
It makes sense. But meaning that's why it would hold salt across the board and not just by a kabbalah. Because he has a mashkin. So now you've left him with security. The whole problem is you're leaving a guy with no security. He's relying on this for a living, and now he's freaked out. You didn't pay him. So a mashkin, like you're saying, you can say it's you're calming him. But the bottom line is you're giving his money that he worked for is secure in this mashkin. So now he's calm. So fine. So you didn't what do you call him? So you didn't oppress him.
Are we saying that, for example, if I owe you $1,000 and you take my mashkin, so then that there's no baltol in there because what? Because it evens out.
Why? Because I have security of the 1,000, and you've given me security.
And it's as if you paid me.
So now it's not mamish payment, but at the very least it doesn't fall under the category of lisashik. It doesn't fall under oppressing him. Why? Like it says even in the pasuk, it says because he's relying on this, and now he's gonna cry out to the Eibishter, and you'll do a sin. If he has the mashkin, he's not going to cry out to the Eibishter. He's not going to feel oppressed.
Right, very good. Excellent.
You gave him a mashkin. Okay, fine. You don't have the money to pay me, and that's not great. But you're not just telling me, yeah, whatever. Come back different. No, here.
Okay, so now let's talk the
money. Here, look. I gave you I owe you 1,000. Here's a Rolex. It's worth 5,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm just using this from Marshall. This isn't the Rolex, and it's not worth 5,000.
Right.
It's not even worth 500.
Zoltir haben for them and for me. But let me ask you a question. So how can we square this out with the Alter Rebbe and the Levush? Let's talk it out a little bit.
Okay, so very simple. The Alter Rebbe, basically, they both agree on this thing that until he's picked up the talis, there's no Baal Solin. Right?
But when you draw the line, the guy could be procrastinating.
But until he's picked it up, even if you told him, until he's picked it up, there's no Baal Solin. Once he's picked it up, now is Chol Baal Solin. Right? That's what the Shulchan Aruch says.
Yeah, but before that, he's holding the becher.
Before that, he has your talis.
The talis, the becher, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So, all the Shulchan Aruch says is so long as he didn't pick the item up, even if he's procrastinating, knowing that it's ready, there's no Baal Solin yet. Fine. So now the Shulchan Aruch Harav explains that one way, and the Levush explains it another way. The Alter Rebbe says very simple, because you're holding his talis, it's a mashkin, and not just it's a mashkin, but as we can prove by the fact that he's going to pay, that he's paying you a certain amount for it, it has the same value of what he's going to pay you for.
So what is it? So what's the Alter Rebbe saying? Is B'teres Tashlum or what?
So he's saying you have a mashkin.
And
so if you have a mashkin, so there's no Baal Solin because I mean it's true he owes you, but you gave him a security on it.
Yeah, but I understand that. But what is the uftu from that security? What's the accomplishment?
The accomplishment is that I don't stand to lose my money. So I'm not panicked because I'm not panicking.
Is it considered like a payment in lieu of the money, or is it considered like a security
It's a security. It's a security. But okay, why is that important? Because the whole problem of Baal Solin, if you look in the pasuk, is Leisashik, don't oppress him.
Yeah,
why? Because he's relying. If you look in the pasuk, it says because he's relying on this for his livelihood, and he's going to cry out to the Eibishter. Why? He's panicked. You left him with no money.
Right.
Once he has a mashkin, you're not oppressing him anymore.
You're not oppressing him.
You gave him security.
You're giving him calmness. You're calming him his concern. He has security. I know I have your Rolex. That's the Alter Rebbe, right? That's the Alter Rebbe. Okay, so can you learn this for other cases?
Based on this, I can apply it to any case of Baal Solin.
Any case
because according to the Alter Rebbe, What's the whole problem with I mean, that's going down
Fantastic.
well. The whole problem with Baal Salin is that you've left him high and dry. He needs
Yeah.
this for his parnasa, and now he's going to cry out to the Eibishter because he's panicked.
Fine.
So by giving him a mashkin, you gave him security, and he's not frightened for his parnasa now because of this.
Fine.
So it applies across the board.
That's Alter Rebbe. That's fine.
Alter Rebbe. The
Levush
Levush says, no, this is not. It's not a matter of a mashkin. It's a matter of up until you pick it up, I'm not makbid on you paying me at all. Why? Because I'm still holding the item. Once you pick up your item, now I'm makbid. You need to pay me.
Fine. I understand. It seems to me because
okay, but based on this, it only applies to this situation where I'm holding. Not only that, there's an intrinsic connection here. I am holding the very talis that you're going to pay me for. In the case of the Alter Rebbe,
it's more than that. It's more than that. I'm holding a talis which essentially is yours. You gave me the material.
Right. Yeah.
I'm holding your talis.
Right. I'm in a better position here.
I think we should, we are the way.
So I'll tell you like this. Let's put it this way. According to the Alter Rebbe, it's actually completely irrelevant the fact that it's a talis or not. It's a mashkin. The talis happens to be the mashkin. In the case of the levush, no, I have your talis that you need, and that you're coming to pay for. But I'm also, if you didn't pick it up, I'm not makbid on you paying.
Well, that would apply by the Alter Rebbe too, if you're not, because then you're giving him back the mashkin. You know what I'm saying?
But by the Alter Rebbe, it's stuff. It's a mashkin. It doesn't have to be this talis. It doesn't have to be. It's
any mashkin.
In other words,
I'm saying
in other words, according to the Alter Rebbe, he is makbid that he pays him. Elamai, I have a mashkin. Because I have a mashkin, I'm not makbid. According to the levush, in this case, he's not makbid in the first place that he pays him, as long as he's holding the talis. So
where did the Alter Rebbe say this in Shin Lamed Tes?
Yeah, look in what's it called? Look in note 27. Right, Smes if called Yudim Tisafis Bir Mishluch Nor Charav Hilchos Sheila V'Schirus V'Chasima. See if Yud Gimel.
Is that Shin Lamed Tes or not?
I don't know.
I would like to look it up.
In the Choshen Mishpat, I don't think it goes with regular simonim. It goes by categories like Hilchos.
Oh, really? Okay, so we'll look at Hilchos Sheila V'Schirus.
Yeah.
Chasima. It has a caption, so we can look it up. You know what I'm saying?
So v'haisif b'shulchan aruch harav sham, which is brought in the Pesach Shuvah. Shemizeh yesh zilmid shekasher balabai is neisen mashkin lapayil einay eved b'val tolin. Why? Because it's a mashkin. The whole thing revolves around it being a mashkin. That's what the whole point is. The whole point is that the talis is a mashkin, and so therefore, by extension, in any case of Baal Salin, if I gave him a mashkin, I don't have a problem with Baal Salin. Right? And now the Pesach Shuvah brings, he says that but the levush, on the other hand, goes by a different reason. Kol zman sha'atalis biyada uman afilu achar shegamri einay eiver alav kivan she'eino uman yeah, kivan she'eino uman nice nilay meichelay al tashum schirasi kol zman shu biyadei, meaning he's not makbid on getting paid until he picks it up. It's not that I have your mashkin, so I have security. It's that you didn't pick it up yet, so I'm not makbid on getting paid yet for it.
Alter Rebbe says you are makbid, except you have security.
He is makbid.
According to the Alter Rebbe, he is makbid, right, except you have his security.
So therefore, by other cases about telling when they're makbid, also you can have security. Here, where he's not makbid, yeah, but by other cases about Solon, he is makbid, so it doesn't work.
Even if he has a mashkan, you're over in Baltolin.
Right, because he's still makbid on getting paid.
Yeah.
And the whole idea here is about his being makbid on that.
It's nothing to do with the
According to
with
Lavush.
the
Has
according to
nothing to do with
Lavush, it's not nothing to do with mashkin.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
Fine. Okay, so that's that one. Next concept. Dugmois mitzois lavidis mekablonish sheyesh bois batolin. Some examples of work bekablonis that would be an Isra Baltalin would be an electrician, a technician, handyman, somebody who does work for a person in his house, a laundry service or a dry cleaner or a barber or going in a taxi. If the taxi if the payment is this is if it's set up ahead of time, meaning you're paying for the trip, not by the time, by a taxi. If you're paying by time, you'll be a sachir. Doesn't make a difference which taxi driver, because as we established that Baltolin applies also by a taxi driver, but also by a kablan, also by a sachir. So either kind of taxi driver would still be Baltolin, whether he's a kablan taxi driver or a sachir taxi driver, right? Whether it's by the trip or by the time. However, in the case where a person asks from an uman to make for him a specific thing from things that belong to the uman, right? Not the balabas is giving him the materials now. Now you're telling the silversmith, make me a becher, right? It's his material, it's his silver. Right? The sefer uses his own ink and things. What's it called? You're not giving him the ink and the klaf. This is already not considered kablanus that is similar to schirus. Because the materials don't belong at all to the customer.
Yeah, it's not like I gave you the silver and you made a becher,
right?
Or I bought the talis without the tzitzis and I gave you to make the knots of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm ordering from you. I want to buy a pair of tzitzis. It's basically make me a pair of tzitzis is the same as I would like to buy a pair of tzitzis. It comes out, or I would like to buy a mezuzah, right? So this is just like anybody who buys a thing in a store, and there's no.
But for example, if I bring the baguette and the tzitzis and I give it to somebody, isn't that kablanus? A classical case of kablanus?
Yeah, and that's kablanus. That's like schirus. There's batalin.
There's the baltonin over there.
But
if I go to you,
but let's say I have a bunch of begodim and strings and whatever, and you call me and tell me, listen, I make me a tzitzis with this size baguette, and I want the thin strings.
Yeah, I want the ballast tzitzis that don't exist anymore. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I make it for you. I'm a craftsman. I make this.
There's no baltonin over there. Because the whole thing belongs to him.
Right. So this is the same as
this is mamish kablonis. Right. This is mamish kablonis, no?
This is the same like if I had a store and it was already ready made and I'm selling it to you.
Right. There's no schirus over
now,
there.
Or there's no batalin. Now you still might be chayiv to me, as like we learned before. Because let's say not really. Let's say you said I should put your name in it or something. I don't know. Then
that's different. That's right. Really different. That's
but let's say let's say for example it's tzitzis that I customized for you. So I'm still only kablonis. I'm not like schirus, but that's different. Now it could be I can tiny you as I got me.
Let me tell you something that happened. Let me tell you that happened
different
to me.
Story though.
I like Chabad tzitzis. They don't make them anymore with the knots, with the tassels, like by a talus.
Yeah. On the bottom,
Yeah, they used to make them
Yeah.
years ago. They used to make them. One day,
I remember I remember when I was when I was in Eretz Yisrael, when I was back in Eretz Yisrael, all the tzitzis had tassels like this.
somebody stopped it, but I still like. So there's a place in Borough Park that I ordered. I've been ordering all these years, over 20 years already, and they make it for me with the knots of the Alter Rebbe. Just the strings I do. I don't want, because I have special tzitzis. I like
Yeah.
I have very, very fine tzitzis. I order from Bnei Brak, very thin
Like
and
the strings
strong.
themselves, you think?
Yeah, but anyway, so and for years I've had no problem. Guess what? Before Pesach I ordered, and they made it for me, but they made a split over here.
Oh, with the
I said to him, Rebbe, entschuldigt mich, ich kenne das nicht. And he understood. He was very, very apologetic and this and that. And he redid it for me,
yeah.
But I want to I felt very bad for the guy. I said, yeah, you've been doing it for over 20 years. He said, I know you very well, and this and that. So I feel very bad. He says, but you did it wrong. And no, he didn't argue the case with me.
Right.
He realized, he says, it was an oversight, he said to me. I didn't have the tzitzis for Pesach, which was a little disappointing, but it is what it is, as it is. I also have an anical who yashin this mishugas for me.
No,
He
good.
also like.
Listen. If we're gonna give our English Mishugasen, at least there should be these kinds of Mishugasen at least.
It's an aesthetic thing. It's not like it's a halacha zach. It's a hidu. I like it. I get geschmack in it.
But it's a hergish. This is how tzitzis were. I like the same tzitzis.
For many years, it was on the shelves in Chabad. Then somebody must have said this is not the way to go. And since there are people in the background making all kinds of decisions, so it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Gamarno. So they be. I did it in Eretz Yisrael, but you can do it here the same for the same price. You don't gain any. You're a phone call away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they do it for you very nicely.
What they charge for such a bag?
The same thing. The same thing. It's what is it? Today's $40 a baguette. You know that? A woolen baguette.
Yeah, I know.
I put the tzitzis on. My tzitzis are more expensive than.
It's more for me because my tzitzis is a 28.
It costs a little bit more.
It's like $46, I think, $47.
I'm gonna make a side for you.
Because I like having otherwise when I move around and this and that the overlap loses. So I like it.
I have tzitzis size 28 that I wear when I go to a Reshus Harabim. Because what the Alter Rebbe writes, the folding and this and that.
Yeah.
I don't wear my tzitzis out of my pants like some Hasidim do. I don't do that. But if I wear them in the pants, at least let it be kedei shir. That even if there will be folding,
right?
In the Reshus Harabim, it's much more serious than in the Reshus HaYochid.
Yeah. No. So I generally wear them. I wear them out.
Shabbos.
Always, actually.
Oh, that's because that's a hidur in shiur.
It's well that and because maybe I'm a little bit OCD about it. I don't like my tzitzis being folded. I like them mamish straight and overlapping and.
Yeah, that's the shiur. They shiur. I'm saying that's because there's a machloikas if folding is because of the shiuri or not.
Right.
That's an issue. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway.
Fine. Weiter. Let's see. So, fine. Mikrim bohem balabayas are secher peil eine ivervalton. So, what are?
I'm sorry, Rab. I'm gonna have to. I won't be. I have to stop now. I have something to do.
Fine.
I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. You can continue. But my question to you is, can we do anything tomorrow morning or not?
Yeah, Mr. Hashem.
If we can knock off a few hours, like now, we did like about 2 hours now, I think, no, or maybe even more.
Yeah, a little bit more.
I can morgen,